Hi, this is Joyce Polino Crane. I am here today with a recycling commissioner, none other than Ellen Hardy, our former town moderator and town historian extraordinaire.
You're too kind.
And today she's got her recycling hat on.
I do.
So we're here to get some answers to questions that you have faced from residents about recycling.
Right. We sent out the new 2019-2020 recycling guide about 10 days ago. And so now we've decided it's time that we need a guide to the guide.
A guide to the guide.
Because we've gotten several questions of people who perceive some changes. So we're grateful to WestfordCAT for letting us have this medium to clarify and answer those questions.
You are most welcome, Ellen. So you gave me a list of questions that you have faced, and I get to read them.
Thank
and you get to answer them.
I'll do my best.
Okay, we're going to start with question number 1. Now, these are, again, from residents in Westford regarding recycling ever since the new guide came out.
Correct.
Let's see. Why has the new recycling company said we can't recycle so many things we used to be able to put in our recycling? I could have read that better.
But the gist is there. Number one, it has nothing to do with the new recycling company. Our contract with Republic expired on June 30th. The town was required to go out for bids, and Waste Management was the low bidder. So they began on July 1st, but they did not establish the guidelines. And they're not new. Everything that is allowed to go in your recycling bin in July of 2019 is the same as it was in July of 2018. What we're doing now is being stricter about the fact that that's the only thing that can go in. So the rules aren't new, and Waste Management had nothing to do with it. The main thing that has changed, Joyce, is that the markets for what we recycle has gotten much, much, much stricter.
And well, China is
That's a big part of it.
bearing down on it.
You know, I can remember 5 or 6 years ago on the Recycling Commission, our slogan was, you know, if in doubt, toss it out. And if it turned out to not be recyclable at the other end at the recycling plant, the recycling companies would simply take that out, trash it, but they were getting enough money for the commodities they were selling, the plastic, the glass, the paper. They could absorb that in their bottom line. That went away.
That went away about a year ago, right?
It was in January of 2018 when China said, we will only accept loads of recycling from the United States that have 1% contamination or less. There is no household in the country that has recycling that's pure, and there certainly is no curbside program where you're collecting from 8,500 households where you can get 1% contamination. That means, you know, absolutely no bad plastic. It means no paper that's plastic coated. It means no food at all in your pickle jar. We're good, but nobody's that good.
So even at the bottom of like a juice bottle, if there's just a little bit of juice left, that's contamination?
That's contamination. That's why this, again, not new standards, but new words, empty, clean, dry. Every item that goes in there should try your best. You know, if there's a drop of water, of course, that's fine. But water bottles shouldn't have the water still in it when you toss it in the recycling. Empty it out.
And the caps?
And the caps, we're now saying to people, just throw the caps in the trash. What happens is on the conveyor belt in the processing plant, those just fall to the floor, and they end up as trash anyway. So if we're trying to get the good stuff in our recycling bins, just throw in the plastic water bottle and toss the cap in the trash.
And one more thing about, one more question for me.
Sure.
If you have a jar lid, is the lid recyclable?
It is, because it's metal.
Okay.
But they would love it if you would take the lid off, because then they don't have to separate it, because they put the glass in one place to sell it, and they put the metal in another place to sell it. So the commodities should be separate.
Separate. And I just want to, just to wrap up with China, I won't belabor this, but is it a philosophical change of mind? Is it a new generation that's taking over? What has changed in China that has made them
I've
down?
read a lot about this, and there are different, I'm not sure that China has come out with a statement, but the perception is they don't want to be seen as the world's dumping ground. You know, it sort of was, you just send your trash to China. That's not the perception. That's not the country they are, and that's not the country they want to be seen as.
I see.
So by setting these very high standards, it shows that they care about the environment, and they are cleaning up the environment a lot.
Yeah.
So it came with very little warning. The kind of plants that China has that we now need to create in this country, we can't do that with permitting and construction probably in less than 4 years. So we'll have them here, but we're not going to have them here in 2020. Yeah. So we need to be patient. The day will come when we again receive income for recycling. That's not the year that we're in, and that's not where we are now. But if Westford residents will recycle as best we can, when the markets turn around, we're going to be there and be the town that has recyclables that are marketable, and we will have a commodity that's worth something.
That'll be wonderful.
Yep.
Okay, so now there are 4 calendar questions, questions specific to that calendar that you are showing us.
Yeah.
The first one is, I can't find the green weeks.
Right. We changed the calendar, Joyce, in response to concerns that people expressed to us about the 2018-2019 calendar, which had a solid blue line for the weeks that are blue. Just to clarify, the whole town is divided in half. Half the town is picked up on the green weeks, which is every other week. Half the town is collected on the blue weeks. So last year was a solid blue bar for the blue weeks and a solid green bar for the green weeks. People said they couldn't distinguish between them. The colors were too close. So what we did this year was make a solid bar for the blue and made the numerals green in the green weeks. And I think we were a little too subtle. So that's a guide to the guide. The solid weeks are the blue weeks, and the ones with the colored numerals are the green weeks. So we apologize for that confusion. We thought it was clever as could possibly be. Our printer came up with that, and we thought it was great. So that's how you distinguish whether it's a green and a blue.
I'm trying not to laugh, but actually I understand the frustration.
Oh, I do too. It's so, as I said to someone yesterday, Abraham Lincoln was right. You cannot please all of the people all of the time. What's very clear to 5 households is just absolutely Greek to 2 others. So it's an ever-changing, it's always a challenge.
So let's go back to another calendar question. You left some of the holidays off of the calendar.
Right. So all of the holidays on which there's no trash collection are circled. And there used to be 12 of these in Westford. But last year that changed. The incinerator is open on those holidays. These are called the lesser holidays, things like Patriots Day.
Oh, yes.
So for the trash truck to have to take a holiday that day, number one, the incinerator's not open on Saturday, and he has to pay his men time and a half to collect on Saturday.
I did read about that. I remember.
So it was over a year and a half ago, it was January of 2018, that the selectmen decided that those holidays, when the incinerator is open, the trash will be collected. So this is not a new calendar. These are the same holidays we had last year. I loved it when one woman called up and told me that we'd forgotten to put Patriots Day on as a holiday. We didn't forget. Patriots Day is not a trash holiday anymore. So the only ones that are holidays in Westford, the calendar is correct, are the ones that are circled. And on those days, there's no trash or recycling.
So let's just take a quick look at which ones are the, I'm just curious.
It's New Year's Day. It's, is it President's Day? Tell me whether or not we're in February. Oh, you're starting from July. Yeah, no, let's do this. Let's start in January.
I'm challenged myself.
No, because the calendar goes from July to July.
I see.
So the 4th of July is a holiday. Labor Day is a holiday. Thanksgiving Thursday is a holiday. Christmas is a holiday. New Year's Day is a holiday. And then we don't get another one until we get all the way to Memorial Day, and that's it. Those are the only ones.
Okay. So that means, so that's good for the haulers who then can pick up the trash on the day that everybody else is off and not have to work on Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah,
So that's great.
It made sense.
All right.
But it's a learning curve for those of us who have had more holidays in the past. But that's not new. That's the second year we're into holidays.
Okay, so moving on to the next calendar question. My husband is colorblind and can't read which weeks are blue and which are green.
This is a problem we don't know quite how to solve, because no matter what colors we use, there is a color blindness for those colors. So what we have suggested for people who have someone in their home who's colorblind is that in the margin next to, let's say that yours is a blue week, next to the blue bars, number one, you could say the solid week is ours. That might help. But just put the letter B so that they know that that's the blue week. So for the, whatever is it, 8% of the country that is in fact colorblind, we hope that will help. But we haven't found a way to do the colors that, again, accommodates every household.
Okay. And last calendar question. Is today my recycling day?
Well, nothing has changed. If you have been a green pickup week for the last 20 years, you still are. So that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
To find out, if you've forgotten, you can always call me. My number is the number that's in the guide here where it says call Ellen. But our website is really nifty. It's the town's website. So you go to westfordma.gov and just click on the left-hand margin there where it says trash and recycling. And then again in the left bar, it will say schedules. And you click on that, and it has every street in town alphabetically. And then it also has it by day of the week. So if you know you're a Tuesday, but you can't remember if you're blue or green, you can simply click on Tuesday, find Graniteville Road, and it will tell you whether you're green or blue. So it's all online. Always feel free to call me. But the bottom most important thing is nothing has changed from June to July. Your calendar and your pickup week is exactly the same day.
Okay.
It may be a little bit different because the new driver is learning the town. So the fact that the former contractor came at 8:15 in the morning, it may now be 1:15 in the afternoon, but they will be there.
Because also the route may be different?
They may do the route differently,
Yeah.
absolutely, and it may take them just a little bit of a time to, I can't imagine learning all 30 square miles of Westford in 2 weeks to figure out where all the roads are and
that
when to
would be
turn.
challenging.
Yeah, so the very first thing that we've said on this is please be patient while Waste Management gets to know the town.
Yes. Well, they've done it in the past, haven't they?
They did, but that probably was at least 15 years ago that they had the contract. So there are lots of new streets.
Oh,
and
right.
I'm sure they have lots of new drivers.
Right.
Different staff.
Yes. Okay, so that ends the calendar questions, and now we're going on to more general questions, and one of them is, are cereal boxes made out of cardboard?
There are so many refinements like this when we're asking you to be careful about what you put in your recycling bin, that what we say to you is we can't answer every one of those questions, and there's a wonderful website that's cited right on the guide. It's recyclesmartma.org. It's a nifty site.
Yeah.
And you can go on that and just type in cereal boxes, and it will say recycle this or put this in the trash. The technical answer is no. Cereal boxes are not made out of cardboard. They're not corrugated cardboard. They're something that's called chipboard. I was thrilled 20 years ago to find that where all our cereal boxes went was into a product that became the covers for the Harry Potter books.
Oh, that's so sweet.
But those are recycled separately. They can all go in the recycling, but it's not technically considered corrugated cardboard.
So does that mean you have to throw the boxes in the trash?
Nope.
Oh.
No, they are recyclable.
Oh, okay.
But that person's question was, is it considered to be cardboard?
Okay,
The answer
but
is it's not.
you heard it here, Westford. Cereal boxes are recyclable. So I'm going to remember that, even though I no longer eat cereal. Let's see. Next question. Do we want to?
How about the
read this
mandatory
one?
question? That upset some people about the term mandatory that they thought for the first time in this. What have you got there?
I don't see mandatory. Oh, maybe it's over here. No. Well, what is that question?
Well, if you don't put, it has been required that you recycle in Massachusetts since the late 1980s. The state banned paper, cardboard, glass, plastic, metal from the incinerator, and that's where our trash goes. So that's very old. It was in 2013 that our commission asked the selectmen to establish a regulation in the town that if you don't recycle, the town has the right to not pick up your trash, and you have to get your own trash hauler, because we can't have recycling in our trash.
Right.
And if you're not recycling, it's fair to assume that all your glass and all your cans are in your trash.
Right.
So that's not new. We said it perhaps a little bit more strongly than we'd said it in previous calendars, but the enforcement and the policy are the same. I did have one gentleman who said, I don't recycle that much, so I don't necessarily have a container with recycling in it every 2 weeks. I sort of question whether he's recycling, but maybe he's a wonderful household and he's down to zero waste and he really doesn't have anything to recycle. That would be great. So he said, so should I just put my empty recycling bin out every 2 weeks? That's silly. The purpose is not to punish people who are recycling. The purpose is to encourage people who aren't recycling to start recycling. And in a very short period of time, even the new waste management staff will know which households recycle and which don't. You and I know as we drive by them. It's not rocket science to figure that out. If you're recycling, fear not, your trash will be taken. If you're not recycling, I suggest you start. It's just what you have to do. We pay $71 a ton for every bit of trash that goes to the incinerator. So everything we can take out of the trash and either compost or recycle is just money we can spend for better things than trash removal.
Has that rate changed significantly in the last decade?
In the last decade, no. Since we started incinerating our trash in 1985, absolutely. I think it was $21 a ton, Joyce, when we started, when we first joined the Neswick group in 1985. But it has varied between 59 and 75 for the last 15 or 20 years. The other part that has changed is that now trash that gets in your recycling, if you don't follow these rules, and we pay for that too, because the recycling company will take out the trash, they have to pay to incinerate it, and they send us that bill. So that's another reason why recycling has to be just recycling and nothing else. You know, people think, well, if I put it in the recycle bin, it's recycled. But it's not. If you put the right thing in the recycling bin, you've recycled. But the fact that you have an old plastic toy that your child's not playing with anymore, and you say, well, it's plastic, I'll recycle it, toys aren't recyclable. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for jugs. They're looking for things that are all made out of the same material. They're looking for things that their machinery can process. And if we do that, we're all set.
Yeah, so there's one more question here.
Okay.
And it is, what do I do with shredded paper?
Well, we were so frustrated when we were told by the waste management facility that they wouldn't take shredded paper. It's simply because when it goes on the line and the box opens up, it just all goes everywhere. So it's not, the paper really isn't recyclable. It's not practical. It's like the little bottle caps. I'm doing a little bit of research on this because we do know that there are shredding companies throughout Massachusetts, and we know that they have a market for their paper. We discussed this at our recycling meeting just this second week in July, and I'll get back to you when we have the answer for that. But it cannot go in your recycling bin because the recycling companies and the processors that we use will not accept it.
Oh, I didn't know that. I think I have put shredded paper
Well, again,
out.
it's a new, because even if you put it, a lot of people use them in put them in the paper leaf bags, you know, so they're in paper.
Yeah.
So they've done all the right things, but several members of our commission took a tour of the plant where our recycling goes, which is owned by Waste Management. And that was when we learned from that manager there that said shredded paper is just, you know,
Not wanted.
Exactly.
I always would put recyclables in a clear plastic bag, and I would find them, but not easily. And now I really almost cannot find clear
Well, you
plastic
can't put them in plastic bags at all.
Right,
Well, and that's absolutely
why there's just no market for them
yeah.
anymore.
We just put here that there is just no plastic bags in the recyclables, loose ones, and don't put your recycling in plastic bags. Just put it loose in either your large 64-gallon
right.
toter or in your. And we encourage people to buy the wheeled containers. We're not making money off that. We sell them for $55, and that's what we buy them from a state grant. But it has a lid, so on windy days, your milk jugs aren't in your neighbor's lawn.
Yeah.
A lot of the litter in Westford, I hate to say it, comes from things blowing out of recycling
right.
bins. We have them in stock all the time. The answer to how to get one is right here. We're in stock. Send a check for $55 to the Recycling Commission at 55 Main Street, and then you'll pick them up. We'll call you when we've got your check. But don't put any plastic bags in, just put everything in loose, and that's the way they want to, that's the way it processes the best.
So I live in Chelmsford, and there I can pick up a recycling, it looks like a bumper sticker that I can just take any barrel and put that on.
Thank you. I meant to bring one of those with me. We have those here in Westford. You can pick them up at Ace Hardware. You can pick them up at the town hall. They're free. And that's true.
You're talking about the stickers themselves?
Yep, the great big green ones that say recycle.
Great.
And you can put those on any trash barrel. You don't need to buy a toter. But we do suggest something with a lid that prevents things from, or you can just call me and I'll mail one of those to you. So it's easy to get those.
Wow.
Thanks for
You're awfully
reminding
nice
that.
to mail.
Well, we want people to recycle, so whatever we can do. That's why we thought we'd made this wonderful, nifty guide. But when you have to do a guide to the guide, you realize that you have forgotten some things. So the least we can do is mail people a sticker.
After producing a newspaper for 6 years, you have my greatest sympathy. I well know
It's a
how
challenge.
hard
It's
it
fun.
is to put things in print.
It is really a challenge, but a wonderful learning experience for all 7 of us on the commission to try and get in the minds of every one of the households and help them understand how recycling works. That's our job.
So we only have a couple of minutes left, but I wanted to just explore with you, because I am trying to do this, and I have friends who are also trying to do this, live a life without plastics. And it is so hard. So I have a garden at the community garden, and our lettuce just was completely out of control, so we had to cut it down and bring it home, and we ended up storing that in plastic bags because I didn't know where else to put it. So every time I try, it's sort of 1 step forward and 3 steps back.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't have an answer to that. We did this same thing when my husband's lettuce went from there up to there with this wonderful rain and cool weather that it's loved. I guess just think before you buy things it's the things that are overpackaged at the store that is where we really are wasteful in terms of plastic. The 1-pack snacks and the things like that. I think that's a bigger problem than taking a big trash bag to store your lettuce in twice a year. It's what we do the other 363 days of the year that is perhaps that. But it's hard. We've gotten very, very, we live in a society that's very affluent, and throwing things away is very much how we live. And that's hard to turn that clock back.
It is. Yes, it is. Well, I've learned a lot today.
Thanks.
I'm so glad. I absolutely never knew what to do with the caps on my water bottles. So I'm so glad to know that it's okay to put them in the trash.
I have another answer. Don't buy bottled water.
That's another.
Get a refillable water glass, and don't use bottled water, and then you won't have to get rid of the bottles or the caps.
I'm totally working on that.
Thank you. Totally work on that.
Totally
That's the
working on
very easy answer to that. And thank you for the recycling tips that WestfordCAT shows that we put together. That's one of them, actually, is get yourself a permanent water bottle and take it with you where you go.
Yeah, and that's a great suggestion. What I'm dealing with is the one water bottle I have. The cap flips up, and then you have a flood in your car.
Oh, okay.
So I need to go find a new water
to go
bottle that won't do that.
Okay, good luck.
You heard it first here, Westford.
Thanks, Joyce.
So I'm going to just thank you for coming, Ellen,
Thanks
today.
for the time.
And, we'll leave the door open for more tips, more.
Oh, absolutely. We'll do this again as more calls come in, because
Yeah.
they will. And we want to answer people's questions and make it easy.
Well, thank you for taking the time to do that.
Thanks.
So for WestfordCAT News, this is Joyce Polino Crane. Take care of that recycling, and I will see you around town.